Sips In. Welcome back to Two Sips In with Carrie and Patrick. That did not make a satisfying clink. That was horrible.
It was. We need to keep our wine glasses out here just to clink.
Yeah, no, totally.
Oh, man. So, Carrie, so before we talk about who we are and what our podcast is about, let's talk about how much I hate my voice.
I think that's such a common thing, though.
But I love your voice. When I listen to your voice, it sounds so...
It is so nasally.
Good. I actually like your recorded voice better than your real voice because your real voice can be grating. No, I'm kidding.
It's so whiny. Try not to be.
No, your real voice is, your recorded voice sounds really, really good. It sounds sharp. I have a tendency to speak slowly. I don't think I am. I think I speak
I don't think you speak slowly.
I just have that lazy California speech.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You're from the West Coast. I'm from the East.
I have had people ask me before, are you from the South? It's like, yes, Southern California. It's a thing.
Why is, that's a great question. Why is the South considered just the Southeast?
Oh, because we don't like them.
It's crickets. Well, there went those Jack Daniel.
Crickets are fireflies.
Jack Daniel ads. Aren't they in the South somewhere?
Well, yeah, Tennessee.
That's pretty southern-ish.
Yeah.
That's northern South. But I lived in Arizona.
How is Tennessee northern South?
Because it's right below Illinois. Kentucky, Tennessee. There's a little nick right there. So I think of
Tennessee
it right above.
borders like 7 states. It borders every freaking state in the union, just about.
I don't think it does.
It's like 7 states. Missouri. It borders a lot.
Okay, how many? How many?
I think it's 7 states.
Okay. How many states does Tennessee border?
8. According to Nations Online Project,
8?
Tennessee borders 8 other U.S. states, Kentucky and Virginia to the north, North Carolina to the east, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia in south, Arkansas and Missouri along the Mississippi River in west.
Wow.
There you go. So it's like the archway to the everywhere. Like St. Louis is the archway to the west.
Yeah, but usually those places are more enlightened.
St. Louis? Have you ever been to St. Louis?
No.
Good.
I have never had a point.
Exactly. That's an enlightened spot. Now you see what I'm saying there.
Wait, did we just diss St. Louis?
Half of the country we just isolated. I lived in Arizona. I hated it.
East of the Mississippi, we just wiped off. We have no listeners east of the Mississippi.
So welcome back, Portlanders. No, because half of Portland is from everywhere else.
Yeah, because what's the name of our interlude? Is that Farm Fresh? What is that?
Excuse me?
Our interlude to our theme song.
Us? Oh, locally sourced.
Oh, locally sourced. Farm Fresh, whatever.
Yeah. Isn't that the birds, the Foster Farms?
Oh.
Aren't they something like that?
Well, they could be.
I don't know.
Well, I'm 2 sips in.
You are 2 cups in.
What is our subject?
Our subject is, how we met.
Yes.
Why we're here, what we're doing.
So,
why should these lovely people listen to us?
I think it's not necessarily important. It's just probably enlightening to speak about how did we come up with 2 sips in. Mm-hmm. So let's go back a couple weeks. Just a couple weeks. And we have...
Storyteller Patrick emerged from the darkness. Welcome. Next on NPR, we'll be having Patrick Smith.
Right.
Honestly, it was... I had mentioned it. We had been drinking. Mm-hmm. And I felt slightly insecure, honestly, because...
Did you?
It is the most Portland thing to say. I'm starting a podcast. Is it not?
Even the name of our music interlude is so Portland.
It's like everything we're doing. I just felt like, oh God, check off another box of my locally sourced, Portland grown bullshit, which I'm actually not Portland grown, but I am starting a podcast with my friend Ginger, kind of more on a single lady bassist.
All the single ladies.
All the single ladies. Even though she's not single, so I don't know if that song counts anymore.
Well, it just sounds like your other podcast is a fraud.
No, I meant Beyonce.
No.
But I'll let Ginger know you don't approve of her.
Well, she's not a single lady.
No, she's technically taken now, but we had a long history. We're different than society norms.
Right.
So anyway, we were starting a podcast, and I had mentioned it to you, and I would say about 1 or 2 times a month we get together and we bullshit.
That's great.
And I thought,
I'm all for
you
bullshitting.
were like, wait a minute, I want to do that.
I do it 24/7 as it is.
That's true. So in essence, this came abroad, and the name,
2 Sips In.
if you recall, so we meet up at a bar that's literally right across the street from my house.
Oh, right across the street.
Right
and
across
right up
the
so
street.
Full disclosure, I live very close to the light rail system in Portland.
As do I.
And where we meet up is right along the light rail system in Portland.
And we're both really close.
So I catch up, 5 minutes later, I'm there.
So I messaged you something like, hey, I'll be there in a minute.
And I was already there.
Your response was?
I'm already 2 sips in. Because I was there and I was literally 2 sips in. So,
And I can show you the text. I immediately messaged Ginger. I'm like, oh my God, my friend just said the best name to me. But she doesn't kind of want to go the alcoholic crazy route.
well, and
So
I don't think
I'm
we
like,
should either, because that's not who we are or what we're all about. Well, okay. So we
Quizzical.
first met at a party and we were drinking.
Granted, this was a long time ago.
14 years.
We were both a lot younger.
Many.
Our kidneys were much healthier.
Much.
Many much.
I wasn't sure which descriptive word was going best there. So I went with
Many
many
much.
and realized I don't like that one. I think it's much
So you're
healthier.
editing after the fact.
Yes.
It's not how it works, but yeah. So anyway, we met at a party
Right.
a long time ago. I knew no one there but my friend who brought me, because the night prior
Right.
we were at a club and he was having issues with his partner, and he met a different guy at the club
Yeah.
who had invited us to this picnic.
Yes. And
So I knew no one.
the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember sitting down in the grass eating some horrible picnic food.
Yes.
And you were in front of me. And I don't
Yeah.
even know how we started talking, but you were a snarky smartass.
Yeah.
And that just speaks
And so
to,
were you, and that's why I
that got
loved
to
you.
my cockles.
Yeah. It
Like-
warmed
I'm
mine.
like, oh my God.
It's like,
Who are you?
I do like the snark.
And
I have
from
nothing
then-
to cheers.
I know. We need,
Oh. We need a sponsor just so we can have a break so we can refill our glasses.
Okay. So here we are recording a podcast in your living room, dining room area. Why?
Why not?
Amen.
That's my question.
And
That's always my
thanks,
question.
thanks
Why
for
not?
joining us. Thanks for joining us on this podcast.
No, we were talking about how we first met and some of the things and
Yeah.
how we came up with 2 Sips In.
Right, we hit that
covered
topic. We did.
But really, a lot of what you and I do together involves social drinking.
Truth.
But
And
never,
not to get shit faced.
And never. I don't think we. Well, I would say never, but that wasn't. Our purpose is never to get carried away,
Right.
and rarely does
A
it.
drink at Crush. Crush, if you want to sponsor us. Carried away. I
Right.
got shit faced on that a few times.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I had to be carried away.
Oh, I've had to be carried away too. Sometimes I just chose to be carried away.
Walking's hard.
It can be hard. It can be really difficult.
No, it's
But-
true. So we do often, we meet up at bars.
We
For
do
multiple reasons, like kids.
right.
When we want to sit down and chit chat, we don't want a screaming 3-year-old around.
Right. However,
No offense to screaming children.
well, kind of.
They're not listening.
I
It's
know.
kind of a snarky comment.
But maybe their parents are, and they should really listen to what we're saying. Nobody
There you go.
wants to put up with your screaming 3-year-olds because they're not as
Yeah.
cute as you think they are.
If there's a people in a table with drinks and your child's running around, they don't want them running
They
around
don't.
them. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You think you're in a place where they can have a little freedom. That's totally cool.
Right.
But just keep them away from the tables with drinking young people.
I agree, because
I called us young. Isn't that sweet?
well,
Isn't that cute?
it is very sweet. So back to, shall we talk about unicorns now? Because we spoke about other things that were not true. Anyway, this is a podcast about literally everything and nothing, meaning we are hoping that we can share some of not just our life experiences with you and have you relate to them, but to also be able to have some fun. And to maybe, we're going to occasionally talk about things that are important to us. Hopefully they're important to you. And if they're not important to you, then hopefully the following week you'll find some entertainment value in what we bring to the table.
For sure. And I think, I discussed this recently, I think podcasts have kind of come into fad because we're losing social connections.
Right.
Like with Facebook and Instagram,
Right.
it's all a fake connection. Like, yeah, you can go in, you can like something, but the actual face-to-face, the banter, the being with friends, you know, it's hard to find time to do that.
It is.
We're all over the country these days, you know, so I feel like podcasts are a way to bring that connection back.
Right.
You know, even like, yes, we are friends, and we hope all of our listeners, you know, feel like they're part of our friendship as well.
Right. We're all doing this together. We all have similar experiences, as unique as every one of us wishes that we were and thinks that we are. We are not.
Not that much.
I mean, and that's why we are doing this podcast, because we recognize that we are not unique. We are wanting to deliver life experiences and messages that hopefully by the end of the podcast will uplift you, as opposed to making you feel depressed or down. I mean, we don't know if we'll always accomplish that, but we want to share those common experiences that I think
we've lost. We've lost through the years with technology and division. Like, the world is so divided that, oh, you're gay, I can't talk to you, or oh, you're a Republican, I can't talk to you, or you know, whatever reasons we put up these walls that are there now, and I think it's hurting humanity.
It really is, because you know that, and the fact that we do tend to communicate by inanimate means, text messaging, emailing. We communicate via podcasts. We communicate in so many ways other than communicating directly with each other. And I think for one of our future podcasts, it would be great to even touch on that, because
it's a lost skill.
Because my son, who is recently adopted, grew up in the foster system, and he was never taught certain skills. And one of the skills he was never taught was how to really communicate with people on a social level. So he is learning things at his age that he should have learned at the age of 3. And I think it, you know, just the simple act of sitting down and writing out a thank you card because somebody gave you something for your birthday or for Christmas was so foreign to him. And
which these days are foreign to so many people.
It
thank
really
you cards,
is.
little tokens that take a little time for you, yes, but mean so much to that other person.
Exactly. So he knows now that anytime he receives a gift, it doesn't matter the value of that gift. Anytime somebody has taken the time to think of him, that he needs to sit down and express his gratitude for that gift.
Right.
And
which is another topic I'd like to hit in a future podcast.
I think so too.
Gratitude, period.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's become like a hip slang, but like really, what is that? What
does it look like?
It's a hip slang, but I feel like there is a base human value there that we're forgetting, we forgot over time.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did we do that? So I think that's a great subject for a future podcast. Hopefully we've hit upon the topic that we wanted to talk about today? I don't know that we did. Because I have to tell you, by the time we set up, this is our first podcast. So by the time
this is our first recording.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And by the time we set up, we were a few more than 2 sips in. And we may end up deciding we have to re-record this entire podcast.
It's all 2 sips in.
It's all 2 sips in.